looks like everybody's getting close to heading out here.
Yeah.
Kapchida! That'll do it.
What's that?
Hey, really?
Oh, it's Korean?
Yeah. So let's go.
Is that really what he said?
Yeah.
I thought that was... This is the 6th year of riding Mesa Beach, and I'm starting from Amity this year instead of from Portland because I need a little more assistance, and so I've got oxygen to assist, and I've got one tank on the bike, and then folks are carrying 3 extra tanks, and that should get me from rest stop to rest stop, and then my mom will be there to take the empties and reload.
Why are you doing this?
It just feels so good to be on the bike, and again, it continues to be my form of treatment. Yeah, I've got... Yeah, well, please, that'd be great. Thank you, Gil.
Yeah. Thanks, buddy. I love you, Brian.
Love you too. Thank you.
Great guy.
Likewise. Thank you. You guys got me here. Thank you.
And Eva wanted to say, tell Brian to do good.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah. Well, thank you. Well, I love you, buddy.
Take care, man.
Feels good. Keep whacking on my back.
Yeah. That's old spine.
You know what's really interesting is when I start to do well, or when I'm feeling well and starting to accomplish things like this, I start to have this realization that I don't want to, well, it feels so good I don't want to die.
When you're young, you can't picture the end of the line. You run around thinking you've got nothing but time.
And so it's actually when I'm feeling really good that I become aware that I have cancer.
We're busy making travel plans, second honeymoon in France. The neighborhood's changing, the kids are all grown, and me and the missus have learned to love our time alone. Now I'm left with nothing but time, nothing but time.
Cancer in our family our immediate family probably started, well, it was 17 years ago when my wife Gail was diagnosed with colon cancer.
I just gotten my master's degree, and we had this little girl, and Brian had a great job, and we thought, oh, we're just really, you know, things are going to just go really well from here on out. And then boom, I get diagnosed with cancer. So then 5 years later, on a routine CAT scan, something showed up that they were worried about, so they sent me for an ultrasound.
It turned out just to be a cyst, but she was in the hospital with that surgery when I got the results of the x-ray.
He came in like I was barely awake from the my own surgery and recovery, and he said he had a tumor on his spine. And it was just unbelievable.
Very different cancers, and I would say probably more bad luck than something environmental. I mean, could one day it be found that they lived in a house that had too much radon in the basement or something? I suppose so. But it could also just be that because cancers are so common, because 1 in 3 of us will get cancer of the something or other, that it's not uncommon to find a husband and wife who will. Now at that age, so young, yeah, that's unusual, but that even could be a statistical glitch that just was bound to happen.
Brian came in with some back pain and some imaging that showed a tumor in his lower spine, and we recommended a biopsy and some surgery, and his tumor proved to be a chondrosarcoma that does not get chemotherapy, and he had a big surgical procedure to take it out.
18-hour surgery to remove his sacrum and then rebuild his back with titanium rods and a bone, a transplanted bone.
This is your sacrum, and this is your spine. A huge triangular part of your spine that connects your right of your pelvis to the left of your pelvis. We're looking at him from the back. This is his right side. His right hip would be over here, and this is his left side. His left hip would be over there. So he had a tumor that was right here in this location.
I started the surgery on my back, and they went in and they moved some important things out of the way. Then they flipped me over. They went in and removed the sacrum. And then another team, I guess, came in and rebuilt my back with the transplanted bone and the hardware. Well, they said I'd feel like I'd been hit by a freight truck when I woke up, but it was much more like a train. Yeah, it was worse than I had imagined.
I don't want to discount what I went through at all, but his situation was so much more serious. I mean, he was really disabled, and we just didn't know. We didn't know what the outcome was going to be. Especially after the surgery, when he came home, he was in a hospital bed in our family room, and I slept on the hide-a-bed in the dining room, and he couldn't be alone. He couldn't get up. He couldn't walk.
And that kind of just perpetuated this cycle of living with cancer.
And I think for Valerie, she had to grow up too fast. And that's sad, but she's doing well. But I mean, you could see that. She became, you know, she was a pretty serious kid.
I mean, she has grown up with cancer her entire life, and so, and she's strong and she's smart, and she's done incredibly well, and she carries a different burden than many kids would.
I mean, I was really worried about my dad, but before I really knew what was going on, it was hard just being in 3rd grade and having a parent who was sick, and the other kids, like, because we used to have to go up to the hospital every weekend, so I really didn't have any friends in 3rd grade. So I think that was more of a struggle for me at that point initially.
This is the very original, the first hardware that was in my back. If you can just imagine it being right there, that's kind of what it does. You might have to put a disclaimer on the video, you know. This side, yeah, this is where all the hardware came out. That's the original surgery. The original 3 surgery, the first surgery and the 2 replacements. During the surgery, they took bone off. You can kind of see how it's indented there, off my iliac crest to put in the back so that it would fuse. And then there's a scar down the front where they had to go in on the original surgery and had to move the organs around so that they could get to it from the backside.
He's made priorities of what's important to him, and this has been one of his life's biggest priorities. I mean, when you stop and think about the things a human being may do in their life, you can certainly find the big chapters, like raising a family, going to college, that sort of thing. Well, this whole business with Brian's bike has got to be as big as any other chapter in his life.
I mean, it's just so important to me to cycle, and it brings me energy. And so, in that sense, that's where cycling is treatment for me. I mean, it keeps me going. It energizes me. It challenges me. It wasn't so much as perceiving it as treatment, but in doing it, experiencing more life and more understanding, more potential, more challenge. It's been very important.
His position on a bike is, of course, first of all, altered by his surgery because he's part metal. How he even just sits on a bike is different from the way you and I would.
I've kind of got that forward tilt, so being positioned a little farther forward and keeping my the angle on my lower back is better, more comfortable. You know, once I get a little more strength, I'll put some weight on the tension on the wheel and feel what it's like to maybe do a slower cadence with a harder push, more like doing hills. I'm getting back to where I'm riding pretty much every morning. For the winter, I wasn't able to do it, but weather and my strength is good, so I'm back on the bike. I always feel better when I get there on the bike. Kind of wakes me up. After the big surgery, he basically said afterwards, well, with a little bit of luck, you're cured. He did a great job rebuilding my back and getting me to a place where I'm really very functional and capable. But unfortunately, the luck on the cured part didn't come through when the cancer spread to my lungs.
A routine CAT scan, and I think it was a CAT scan, showed that he had these tumors on his lungs. So that was obviously very discouraging because it had metastasized, and they'd hoped during the original surgery that they'd gotten it all.
As I recall, it was routine surveillance, knowing that lung is the most likely organ to house metastases from most soft tissue sarcomas, or most sarcomas, period. And so Brian was undergoing routine scanning to make sure such a thing hadn't happened. One day it had.
Devastating and pretty scary.
In what ways?
Well, just, you know, again, that this thing's still in our life and he's going to have to go through a surgery and recovery. What's he going to end up? You know, is he going to end up on an oxygen tank?
They grew in a very troublesome way for Brian because they were close into the blood vessels involving the passage of blood right into the heart from the lungs. And it looked like there was a tumor mass that was actually going to make it right into the heart. And so Brian didn't have a lot of choices other than the surgery. It's
It's a very dark period.
You can have a great thing right next to a thing that really sucks, and that's just kind of life. Just achy.
There was a time, maybe a year ago, I guess, he was pretty depressed. You know, it's exhausting. He just gets tired of it. He's tired of being tired and tired of everything being a struggle. And
How do I feel? Really wiped out, just washed out. Today's been fighting, you know, kind of like chills, fever, sweats, chills, fever, sweats.
Not everybody is as hopeful when they're in this situation, and a lot of people give up. And so when I take that perspective on it, it just helps me, you know, realize it's not about fairness. It just is. It is the way it is, and he's chosen to deal with it the way he deals with it, and everybody has challenges in life, and it's just something that you have to accept, and he's accepted it, so through him I'm sort of forced to accept it.
so we'd gone to this therapist who we'd seen a couple times together, and he said something to Brian that I think really turned a corner. I'm sure this turned a corner. Brian was feeling sort of defeated and like, what's the point? And, you know, I'm probably not going to be here much longer anyway. And, you know, just again wanting to get Valerie through that particular year of college. And so he was sort of going down that path. And this therapist said to him, you know, Brian, you can still allow yourself the possibility to set goals and make plans for your life. And that he just sort of sat up and went, you're right. And I'm telling you, that turned a corner for him.
Strangely enough, I guess our paths crossed through a few people. The opportunity presented itself for us to get together and ride and meet each other and be happy to help him any way I could.
I think there was a connection that this was an opportunity for him to share something, a gift that he had with my circumstances.
Here's a guy who's has difficulty riding his bike, but he loves riding his bike, and so
he went out and rode with us and, you know, really seemed to understand where I was at on the bike and was able to help me realize that there was a different way of doing things. And he kind of adopted me. And that led into the training for Cycle Oregon.
once he started to get healthy again, we agreed on, you know, well, let's pick a goal. Let's ride up a mountain this summer. You know, let's ride up to Mount Hood, let's ride up to Mount Rainier, something cool. He came up with the idea that he said, well, I earned this ticket to Cycle Oregon through raising money for Reach the Beach, so what do you think about doing Cycle Oregon? Well, you know, he did one day Reach the Beach, 103 miles, and it just ran him into the ground. Now, I know I can turn all that around and how I prepared, but going from a one-day event that just took everything out of him and took him probably, you could argue, 2 or 3 weeks to recover from completely, and then trying to ride for 6 days out of 7 days, over 400 miles with mountains. I wouldn't limit anybody from the possibility of doing anything. So I said, you know, we can go for it, we can try it. You know, I mean, being realistic, we'll have to see where it goes and see how we progress, and we'll make goals, and if we reach the goals, we go to the next step.
We're gonna get Brian a new lightweight bike so that he can climb Crater Lake and be fast.
I don't know what we're doing. I think we're gonna shorten my left leg a little. Oh, or shorten the crank, either that or my leg.
Brian's an inspiration to all of us, and I want him to have every advantage in making Cycle Oregon a wonderful experience, and Crater Lake is the pinnacle of the ride, and we want him to be able to get to the top and do it easily. Oh, that's about 3 pounds.
Holy mackerel.
Okay, I'll take it.
It's yours.
Oh, come on.
That's your new bike for Cycle Oregon.
Surprise. You're kidding.
I'm not kidding, I'm absolutely serious.
Well, Jay.
We've designed this Justin's idea, and between the two of us, we came up with a lot of tricks, and
So I thought we were just shorting the crank here tonight.
that was the idea.
Jay, thank you. So that's why you wanted to know why Justin. Thank you.
You've earned it.
Absolutely, you've earned it.
You passed the first test.
Well, I'll honor it on the ride. And you know, I just sprinted out. I was so excited to be on the bike that by the time I got to the corner, I was thinking, huh, I do have one left.
Day 3 of extended training.
Trying to put in 4 hours, 3 to 4 hours of riding 3 days in a row to start to get the feel for Cycle Oregon and get the feel for ride recovery.
You know, it's kind of like, you know, when you're going downhill, you're going to come down to 115 or so, hopefully. You know, when we're going uphill together, you're going to be at 125. What's your heart rate?
121.
Okay, good.
After training, I was able to keep my heart rate in a range of probably 135 to 145. And when the grade kicked up, you know, I'd push up to 150. And once I got to 150, I didn't have much left. My VO2 max is 165, I think. And so when I'm getting up there, I'm pretty close to running out of steam and getting to the place where I have no choice but to stop and recover. When I get up in the morning, I don't think about having cancer. When I lay on a CT table, it's like, okay, yeah, I have cancer.
Little pulse, sorry.
You know, I probably had, I would say, between 40 and 50 scans. And x-rays on top of that, too.
Breathe in. Hold your breath.
In a fantasy land, the ideal answer would be, you know, all the tumors have miraculously disappeared. But right now, I'm very content, pleased with no change, as long as they're not affecting any arteries or any other organs in any way. They can just hang out if they don't go anywhere. Hopefully, nothing has changed, and it'll be a huge relief. But if something has changed, would I do anything differently? Would I still go for Cycle Oregon? I don't know. My gut tells me I'd be tempted to stick with the plan. Because right now feels like that's the best treatment I have going for me at this point is the training and the bike and actually enjoying work. You know, just kind of sticking with routine and having this goal to get to Crater Lake. We're departing here at 6:45, so we got 4.5 minutes.
We're on schedule.
Yeah, things are good. Government camp by 8. 15-minute warm-up.
I just think he has more energy. He's eating better. He has something he's working on. He has a goal.
And then, so Brian is returned to his wife by noon. Well, that sounds, there's somebody that's whipped, huh? It's
I respect that in you. I don't feel like I'm the only one.
If I got to borrow that thing, I don't know if I'd return it.
Well, you know what? I think I'm going to have to work something out with Jay. It's going to be hard giving this bike up. So Jay and I are going to have to talk.
It's like a horse.
Yeah.
It's got its own personality.
It is funny how you get connected.
Yeah. This one's just more about pure climbing. Steeper road, higher elevation.
Got to breathe a little harder, a little faster. Got to get my heart rate monitor working here.
There's a similar day on Cycle Oregon on day 3 that will be pretty steep for about 6 miles, so this will be a good preparation for that.
It'll take a little while to get into the rhythm of the hill. But yeah, I think, you know, we just got to get after it and see what it looks like. 2, 3, break!
Something like that.
Climb! We're going to have to get our rhythm down.
3 miles. We're almost halfway.
Sometimes it feels good, and then I'm thinking, okay, do I have it in me?
Right now.
Then it feels good. I just have to shift my focus.
Right now, there is that struggle thing right now in your mind. Huh?
Right. I get to that point where then I have to tell myself, settle in with it.
You know, he has these waves of like, where he feels like I could do this all day, I feel good. And maybe 15 seconds later, he's struggling with turning the pedals over, you know, and it's not like he wants to stop and get off the bike, but it comes back into his mind into question of, can I keep doing this to the top? He grew up in Bend. He grew up enjoying the outdoors, and quite often when you're an outdoorsy kind of person, part of the attraction in that is being alone.
I always come out here at night when I can't think inside my room, and everything will be alright after I bounce it off the moon. I tried to tell you on my own, every time it falls to ruin.
I mean, there's a saying in cycling, everybody climbs alone, and something you don't get a lot when you're doing group rides is alone time.
I have to bounce it off the moon. I look for the words that tell you I love you, with no moon above you, but they won't come. So I said quiet in the dark, count the shadows in my room, and I will memorize my parts after I bounce it off.
Little suffering there.
A little wind too. Huh?
Yeah, at the end. So, jeez.
He did a 100-mile ride prior to the start of this 12-week block. The way he prepared for that 100-mile ride, he got through it, he survived it, but he broke his foot down pretty badly throughout the day from rubbing on the shoe that he had prior to his Nikes that we've gotten customized for him, which has alleviated all those foot problems, which has been great. Probably did some overtraining because in the week or so to follow, he got a cold, he got sick, he got run down. As all that kind of accumulated, he ended up throwing up pretty seriously for a few days, which ended him up in the urgent care overnight, getting rehydrated through IV bags.
And just so ironic to, come off such a great weekend.
I tell the truth, I didn't expect it either.
I didn't either. I was feeling great. I really was. And, it's a reminder for me, I guess, well, for anybody, how fragile life can be. But you just never know what those setbacks are going to be. And it's pretty annoying. It's discouraging to keep having to fight. You just wish you could get an exemption card and just keep the good stuff going. But reached the beach, I ended up with a foot infection, the bone infection in November. And then reached the beach was great, so it's actually been a pretty good run. Had a little bit of a setback, with my breathing there for a while. Seemed to have got that taken care of with the asthma meds. But that's, it's just a roller coaster. I mean, it just, you know, kind of knocks you down, and you just get back up. And you get back up, and you get tired of getting back up. But you know, these rides really. The rides and riding with the team, I just felt so good the last week or so. I mean, it's just so healing in so many ways. And here I am.
What we're looking at here is the most recent CT scan, and the new finding is this sausage-shaped, this infiltrate, this new spot that was not there in a similar location on the scan earlier in the summer.
The CT scan showed that there's, it looks like a new tumor that's grown that's about, as he described, about 3/4 inch, 3/4 the size of my thumb. So down to the first knuckle there. So that's pretty substantial tumor, and it's just shown up in the last 2 months.
Do you think all this training he's been doing and the stress on his body has
I'd say
activated it?
No,
or
I would say if anything, he's way better off. You're way better off for having done this. I have.
Okay.
No, it hasn't fed the cancer.
Okay.
His cancer hasn't gotten stronger in parallel with the rest of your body. I know of no reason to believe that could be true.
Yeah. Given the nature of the lung, could it absorb more mass, more tumor mass, more unproductive tissue mass?
If I'm understanding your question, you're saying how much more of this growth could happen before you feel it?
Or before you'd have to take it out?
Right.
Well, before you feel it, of course, you've trained so well that you probably wouldn't feel it as soon as people who are less efficient. So the heart is like all the way over to the right chest now.
Wow.
So
does that give him more lung capacity?
It gives this lung more capacity,
Yeah.
right? It isn't infinitely forgiving.
Right.
And so that there would come a time when there would be some mass that will let us know of its presence, maybe just by a cough, maybe by more shortness of breath.
These are really tough choices to think about doing another surgery, and just the impact that has in the recovery process, and that takes, you know, a couple months out of a portion of your life, and then not knowing what's left after that. It would seem that I could lose another lobe, or the equivalent of.
Mm-hmm. You could, but it would leave you with a very limited amount of ventilatory capacity. I don't think we'd be seeing any more bike rides.
Yeah. All right. Well.
So I guess we'll meet with him next week.
He had a second surgery because he did have disease on the other side too, and so he actually had a part of that lung removed as well, the remaining lung. And he still, of course, has metastatic disease in what remains.
There's probably like 15 to 20 smaller tumors in the lung.
He's not done yet in terms of what this cancer may continue to do.
I lost my sacrum. I lost my right lung. I've lost a portion of my left lung. So this disease has progressed, and I've done very well in living through it.
There's no fear in not finishing a day or not accomplishing a part of the ride. I think Brian feels like he can do it. I think he feels motivated to do it. I think he has something to prove to himself. But it all goes back to, again, you know, cycling is treatment for Brian's cancer in Brian's mind, and that has a lot of value. You know, he's proven that it has a lot of value. You know, there's just not cases of people living 10 years with his cancer, and he's far exceeded the statistics. You know, he is not a statistic, as he'll tell you. So if I have to push him, if I have to do whatever, you know, then that's what I'll do to help him get there. That's the teamwork that's involved.
What is it that brings me energy, and what is it that brings me joy? And in focusing on those things, I believe that's the very best thing I can do for myself.
Just to survive year by year, getting on a bike and riding several hundred miles for him is a piece of cake compared to thinking about how he's going to survive the next year.
That is truly remarkable. You know, Brian doesn't fit the textbook at all.
Really?
He's writing his own chapter.
First ride morning, here we go. Getting ready. All systems are go.
That's what it looks like out there in the big world of craziness at Cycle Oregon.
You can't imagine what it means for me to see him be able to do this. Knowing how sick he's been in the past and knowing the courage and the strength he's got to do this, you can't believe what it means. It's fantastic. I couldn't be a prouder father, that's for sure.
So you cannot lift a spirit that has turned to lead. Shine a light in shadow when the batteries are dead. Or fly like a bird over all the works of man. Always think of the perfect word, but you do the best you can. And nothing seems as easy as it did when you were young. Hips may be invincible, but we are only strong. Strong like a memory, strong like a willow in the wind. Strong as you'll ever be. You will always need to bend. And if you feel the weight of the world, put your mind at ease. Little Hercules. Times when being a grown-up gets to be too much, and your sense of humor seems to vanish in the crush of the daily 9 to 9 that keeps your family alive. You're just putting in your time. Does anyone really go home at 5? You made a life where no one ever tells you what to do.
Love you, honey.
The only tyrant that you're working for is you. But it's never easy to keep all the promises you made. But no one's gonna get you far if you just give yourself a break. If you feel the weight of the world, put your mind at ease. Little Hercules. 'Cause there's so much on your shoulders, but you know it's a breeze. Little Hercules.
It's been an absolutely great experience. You know, with my dad and Justin, and there's been the teamwork, getting over that huge hill, mountain, I guess it's okay to call it a mountain. But everything that is paying off, there's definitely a great energy that's coming along with this. So it's just been great.
There have been some rough points, but it's really good to hear that he's got a lot of motivation, and he said that knowing that we were coming was good motivation, and that makes it even more worth it to be here for him, so that's good. That's what I like to hear, and he looks really, really good and really healthy, so I'm glad to see him like this. It's good.
Here we are, 2 more days to go. Crater Lakes tomorrow. It's gonna be a long day, 44 miles for the better part of climbing all day up to Crater Lake. So, and then, you know, cool surprise for Brian is his wife got a room at the lodge, at the Crater Lake Lodge.
I want to try and do it on my own. So I'm going to be really slow. There's going to be a lot of people on the road and it's going to be narrow. I'm guessing my dad's going to want to hang at the back to kind of protect me. And I'm going to be really focused. What I'm imagining to be most helpful is if you can see, you know, if I'm tensing up or if I'm tensing the leg, you know, I could use the feedback because I'm going to be in this really heads down focused place, I think.
I'm open to that if that's the way you want to go. The other option that I was going to suggest on strategy was work together until we get out of everything. So instead of doing what we've been doing where you tackle the first part of the day and then we work together the second part of the day, since the second part of the distance is the more important distance, work together the first half because the park doesn't start until inside 20 miles or something like that. I think actually the park only starts 7 miles, but I think the road leading up to the park starts at like 20 miles out. So why don't you think about that element? You know, because I mean, I understand what you're saying about, you know, it's the big day and you want to make the go solo. But at the same time,
I'm prepared to. I'm prepared. I'd like to attempt it.
Okay.
And so, yeah, and I'll know when it's time.
Yesterday was a good day, but the Tuesday was a slow day because they had flats and accidents and held up, and so hopefully this day will go good.
And there's a few days with significant climbing, and day 6 was this day up to Crater Lake. You think anybody knows we're out here? It's kind of nice not being passed by anybody. It's like going back to one of those training rides, you know? Nice quiet training ride with 2,000 of your friends. And a roll.
A little bit.
Yeah, you're probably a little more sensitive to it because your body's used to running on rich oxygen all week and having a lot of demands made on it.
I get a headache.
Getting a little headache? That happened last time. Probably a little dehydrated.
It's probably true.
Probably not drinking enough. Again.
I'm gonna have an intervention.
Intervention?
Maybe I should. I wonder if I should mix it.
Yep, even at 4,700 foot altitude after climbing 2,800 feet, Brian's still got a sense of humor.
Might get better.
It's true. It may not get better, but our reactions to it might get, you know,
Be better.
more giddy.
So what'd you stop for? Have a little intervention and then puke, then ride a little further, which is possible. This stuff doesn't settle too well in the stomach.
It looks like everybody's doing their thing and heading back, so.
And you thought I was going to puke.
We helped.
Brian is tricking you.
All right.
Movement, little doggies.
And the mile.
Car back.
We're a little over 26 miles in to a 44-mile day up the mountain, and Brian's not wearing his heart monitor today. He's just feeling his way up the mountain, and slow and steady.
This grade, able to go about 4 or 5 miles an hour. Kind of stuffed up, like maybe I'm getting a cold a little bit.
Right now, he's looking for his inhaler. Sometimes his breathing gets a bit constricted. He's had some problems this trip.
Brian's inhaler, he hasn't got it. We need it.
Okay. If it does start raining, and he's already a little cold, that could be ugly. But
just worried about the weather. You know, whether it's going to turn worse. I think they're coming right now because usually what you see first is you see Paul's yellow jacket. 2 silver helmets and Paul's yellow jacket.
Alright, Brian! Woo!
Hey, he's the guy. Looking great, guys.
So where's the albuterol stand?
Right next to the fire.
Oh, good.
Good morning, welcome.
Thank you.
There's a fire in the shelter right back there. It's cold.
You kind of calm down. You're like, okay, we made it. Now it's just a pedal stroke at a time.
a couple of mochas, a little caffeine, a little hot liquid.
It's a mocha.
Let's get to the water stop. Let's get to the lunch stop. Let's get to the end of the day. You know, now let's recover. So then you start the next process.
Albuterol was in my jacket. This jacket. Score.
What's that?
Albuterol for my asthma. That's what we were in search of this morning.
I think Brian's been doing enough for enough days that, you know, like I said, his thermostat's a bit off. So when his thermostat gets off, his body gets a little haywire as far as how he's using his energy. So definitely not as strong as he could be, but you know, but he's still riding his bike 6 days into it. So West Entrance, we're in the park.
Yep, we're in it.
We're in the ballpark now, boys. It's starting to rain on us a bit.
Hey folks, you're probably not going to like to hear this, but the course has been closed at this point.
I know, my room is at the base of the lodge.
Okay, so yeah, the park has closed down the course. It's starting to get freezing rain up top.
The wind was blowing about 30 and 40 miles an hour, and everything was miserable.
What I don't want you to do, if they're closing the route, is go all the way.
Oh no, I'm not.
Because then
no, I don't want to.
He's going to worry about you getting down.
Oh yeah. No, I'll go down, but I just don't want him to. This boy has one lung and cancer.
Okay.
We didn't quite make it to the turnaround point, but we're 35 miles in. Come back another time. I was feeling pretty strong after it started raining. See ya. No, you're running. Oops. Got unfinished business here.
It's not going anywhere.
It's not going anywhere. Neither am I.
Okay.
So, thank you for getting me here and being here and
Yeah. The last day of the ride, day 7, and it's snowing outside.
Well, this has been quite an experience. I mean, we go from bright sunshine to snow to rain to whatever.
I think we've got about 60 miles to ride today, and I'm feeling, you know, my body feels good, muscles and all that feel pretty good, but I'm starting to get a fair amount of congestion. The altitude and the dryness, I think, is affecting it too, but my body's, it's starting to talk back to me. I'm getting close to the edge, so I need to ride pretty easy today, and I'll ask Justin to help me considerably.
The final leg, the final stage.
Sorry.
How's everything feeling? Sound a little congested.
I am, and I was actually coughing up some kind of phlegmy stuff this morning, so I mean it's...
Could be cold onset.
Yeah.
So better take it easy. We better work together today. Did you have a good breakfast?
Fair.
Fair?
I had like a pastry and a couple of V8s and a little bit of steak.
Leftovers, huh? Leftovers from the store? You guys didn't go up to the lodge and have breakfast?
No.
So you're getting it cold. You didn't have your vitamins last night. You didn't eat real food this morning.
I have real food. I have steak, man.
Okay, we'll see. It says we follow the Rogue River for 22 miles into the finish line. So one nice thing about following a river is rivers run along, or roads that run along rivers are usually pretty flat. It says it's a nice, easy day to finish up and flush out your legs. So
Good luck.
Thanks.
Bye, you guys.
Adios.
Just anything that starts to pitch up like this, let's work together so you don't have to use too much of your power.
I'm good with that.
I'm going to leave him to his own efforts on the bigger climbs, because you know those are part of his challenge, his personal goal, overcoming mountains.
We'll just hold it here. A little more. Good. I think Gail's worried about you today.
She probably should be.
Yeah.
But she's being very supportive.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That helps. Yeah. Go ahead. Watch it!
I think I'll keep doing what I've been doing, which is I'll just go down like a few miles, 5 miles, and kind of wait for them to pass, and just to make sure he's okay. But I think this is going to be the grand finale.
Let's go, Gail. So it's good to see. Thanks, guys.
Keep rolling.
Let's just take it easy.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Well done.
Thanks much.
All right.
There's your wife.
Love you, honey.
The finish line right here. Mission accomplished.
Get her, guys. Thank you. Love you. This is a great example of accomplishing something that you just had no idea how you could do it 3 months ago. And honestly, what you realize is you can't do it by yourself. So, a lot of people have gotten here, particularly you. Thanks, buddy.
I love you. Oh, I love you, man. That was fun.
Just seeing Gail up the road, it was very comforting to know that she was watching over me and us. And
This is very cool.
Hey, Gail. Gail, take a photo of him holding his bike over his head or something in front of the banner.
I'm not sure I can lift it up. Can you help me with that?
Come on, man. Take a water bottle. So you can do
Hurry up there on the mountain.
I got to be a little bit of a part of it and share in it, which is fun, and just see how happy he is. And it was cool to see Justin pushing him. That almost made me cry. It was really sweet, so it's good. And he made some new friends. So thanks for documenting it. It's cool. I know, he's happy. He's happy. That's good.
Cycling has been my therapy, and this event and building a team to help me get through it has been really important. Life's hard. That means perseverance. Everybody has a story that's about compassion, and you don't get through it alone, and that's about love. I opened the door to someone else to step up this year. But I'll be back. Thank you very much.
We were always on a rocky road, forever bumping heads. We've both got our scars and more than a few regrets. But you shouldn't have to try so hard just to get along. It hardly matters anymore just who was right and who was wrong. 'Cause nothing can hurt you now. You've gone beyond our war and all that fighting. Just let that curtain down. We'll speak of it no more. Whatever is done, and time cannot erase all those memories. Nothing can hurt you now or stop you on your way to a better place. It's a better place. It's a better place.